The flagged file appeared at 2:07 a.m. That wasn't unusual by itself. The overnight review queue constantly pulled random Bodycam footage for quality audits, traffic stops, welfare checks, noise complaints. Most of it was routine. My job was just to confirm procedures were followed and flag anything that wasn't. What caught my attention was the case number, or rather, the lack of one. Every clip pulled into the audit system includes a dispatch ID automatically attached to the file. Even officer-initiated stops generate a temporary reference. This one had neither, just a blank field where the incident number should have been. I frowned and clicked it open. The video loaded immediately. Nighttime, bodycam footage from a patrol vehicle parked along a narrow rural road. Headlights illuminated a gravel driveway cutting through tall grass and scattered trees. No houses visible, no movement. Just empty land stretching into darkness. The officer stepped out of the vehicle. The name tag on his uniform read, Harris. I reached for the metadata panel on the right side of the screen. Timestamp 1:42 a.m. Unit 12. Location not available. Dispatch record none. That last line made me pause. Officers don't just stop at random locations in the middle of the night without logging it. Even routine patrol checks show up somewhere in the system. Harris adjusted his shoulder mic. "Dispatch, Unit 12, he said calmly. "I'm on scene." I glanced at the audio log. No dispatcher response. Just silence. Harris walked slowly up the gravel driveway, his flashlight beam cutting across the grass. The light caught a rusted gate hanging half open, creaking slightly as it moved in the breeze. He stepped past it. "Sheriff's office," he called. No answer. The beam swept across the ground, then stopped. Harris stood still. For a few seconds, he didn't move at all. Then he spoke again, quieter this time. "Sir?" The flashlight shifted slightly as if tracking something just outside the frame. Harris took another slow step forward, and then, almost under his breath, he said, "They said you'd still be here." I pulled the dispatch system onto my second monitor. Unit 12, 1:42 a.m. There was nothing. No call for service, no officer-initiated activity, no GPS ping even showing Harris stopped along that road. According to the system, Unit 12 had been driving continuous patrol on the opposite side of the county. I checked the 911 intake logs next. Nothing there either. No hang-ups, no abandoned calls, no accidental dial-ins. The timeline between 1:30 and 2 a.m. was completely empty. That alone wasn't impossible. Rural overnight shifts sometimes went quiet, but not while an officer was actively responding somewhere. I scrubbed the footage back a few seconds. Harris's flashlight beam moved slowly across the grass again. The tall weeds shifted gently in the night breeze, shadows bending and straightening with each movement of the light. "Sir?" Harris called again. He angled the flashlight lower toward the ground. The beam stopped. Harris tilted his head slightly, like he was listening. I turned up the audio. At first, there was only the faint hiss of wind against the Bodycam microphone. Then, barely audible, a soft sound. Not wind, not footsteps. Breathing. Slow, uneven. Somewhere ahead of him. Harris took another step forward. "Dispatch," he said quietly. "I've got possible subject on the property." Still no response. The silence from dispatch felt wrong. Even delayed, someone should have answered by now. Harris moved closer. The flashlight swept across the base of a tree, then paused again. He shifted slightly. then turned suddenly, fast enough that the camera jerked with the motion. The beam swung behind him, illuminating empty grass and the open gate. Harris stood still, listening. The breathing sound stopped. For a few seconds, nothing moved. Then Harris spoke softly. "Yeah," he said. A pause. Then, "I hear you." I leaned forward slightly, because there hadn't been any sound at all. I sat back slowly and checked the file metadata again. Officer Harris, Unit 12, 1:42 a.m. Still no dispatch record. I flagged the clip for internal review, then moved to close it, but another file slid into the queue almost immediately, automatically flagged. Same officer. My hand paused on the mouse. That wasn't unusual on its own. Officers generated dozens of clips every shift. But when I looked at the metadata, the unease settled in again. Officer Harris, Unit 12. Dispatch record, none. Different timestamp. 3 nights later. I opened it. The footage began with Harris already outside the vehicle again. This time he stood beside an empty gas station, the kind that had closed years ago and never reopened. The canopy lights were dark. The building windows were covered in faded paper. Harris moved slowly across the lot. "Sheriff's office!" he called. His flashlight beam swept across abandoned pumps and cracked asphalt. The wind pushed loose debris along the ground, making faint scraping sounds. He stopped near the building entrance, tilted his head, listening again. I turned up the audio. Nothing. Just wind. Harris nodded slightly. "Yeah," he said quietly. A pause. Then he stepped closer to the building. "I know," he continued, voice low. "I'm getting closer." Closer. The word lingered. I pulled up the timestamp. 3 nights after the first file. I opened the map overlay and entered both locations. The system plotted 2 markers: rural driveway, abandoned gas station. The distance between them wasn't random. They formed a line. I stared at the screen for a moment, then searched the queue again. Another flagged file appeared. Same officer, 2 nights later. I opened it. Empty residential road. Harris walking slowly past dark houses, listening again, responding to something I still couldn't hear. I added the 3rd location to the map. The line extended, moving steadily across the county, heading toward town. I checked the timestamp on the newest flagged file still sitting in the queue. My stomach tightened. 1:58 a.m. Tonight. I minimized the map and pulled up Officer Harris's personnel file. Active duty, no disciplinary actions, no recent incidents. His shift schedule showed he was currently on patrol, same overnight rotation he'd worked for years. No notes from supervisors, no reports of unusual behavior. According to the system, Harris was just another unit covering rural routes, which made the flagged footage harder to explain. If Harris had been responding to unknown calls, someone should have noticed. Dispatchers log everything, even routine radio chatter. Officers rarely move without leaving some kind of digital footprint. I opened the live patrol tracker. Unit 12 appeared near the northern edge of town, moving slowly. Normal speed, normal patrol route. Nothing unusual. I switched to Harris's most recent standard Bodycam footage. Not flagged, just routine traffic stop from earlier that night. Harris stood beside a pickup truck, speaking calmly with the driver. His voice sounded steady, professional. Everything looked normal. But after a moment, I noticed something. Between questions, Harris glanced past the driver. Not once. Repeatedly. His eyes drifted toward the empty road behind the vehicle, like he was checking something just out of frame. At one point, he paused mid-sentence, listening briefly before continuing. The driver didn't seem to notice. The The stop ended normally. Harris returned to his cruiser. Before getting in, he turned slowly and looked down the dark road again, watching, waiting. The footage ended. I leaned back slightly. Then the audit system refreshed. A soft notification appeared in the corner of my screen. Live file, auto-generating. Officer Harris, Unit 12. Status, recording. The timestamp updated in real time, 1:58 a.m. I opened it. The Bodycam showed Harris driving along a quiet road, dashboard lights glowing dimly inside the vehicle. The headlights illuminated empty pavement stretching ahead. Harris reached up and adjusted his shoulder mic. "Dispatch," he said quietly. A brief pause, then, "I'm almost there." The road looked familiar. At first, I couldn't place why. Just a quiet two-lane lined with scattered houses and bare trees, the kind of stretch you'd find anywhere in the county. But as Harris continued driving, the unease settled in more firmly. I switched on the location overlay. The system struggled for a second, then resolved the GPS coordinates. My stomach tightened. Harris was heading south, toward town. The cruiser slowed as he passed a faded road sign. The headlights washed over it briefly, illuminating the name just long enough for me to read. I recognized it immediately. It was one of the outer roads leading toward my neighborhood. Harris didn't activate lights or siren. He just turned slowly onto the side street, tires crunching softly over gravel before reaching pavement again. Residential now. Small houses, dark windows, quiet yards. No movement. Harris drove another block, then slowed further. "I see it," he murmured. I leaned closer to the screen. The cruiser rolled to a stop along the curb, engine idling. Harris sat still for a moment, listening. Then he opened the door. Cold air rushed into the microphone as he stepped outside. The camera tilted slightly as he adjusted his vest and scanned the quiet street. Porch lights glowed faintly from a few houses. Most were dark. Harris began walking. The camera bounced gently with each step as he moved along the sidewalk. His flashlight remained off, relying instead on the ambient streetlights. He passed one driveway, then another. I felt a slow, creeping recognition as the houses came into view. The fence on the right, the mailbox with the dented corner. I knew this street. Harris slowed, the camera angled toward a house ahead. He moved closer. The number came into view beside the front door. I felt my chest tighten. It was my house. Harris stopped at the base of the walkway. He spoke quietly. "Sheriff's office." Then he started toward the front door. Harris moved slowly up the walkway. The camera bobbed gently with each step, the soft crunch of gravel loud in the quiet night. The porch light was off. The house sat dark and still, windows reflecting faint streetlight. My house looked unfamiliar from this angle. Detached, quiet, like nobody lived there. Harris stopped near the base of the porch steps. He didn't move right away, just stood there, listening. The microphone picked up faint ambient noise, distant wind, a far-off vehicle somewhere across town. Then something else, a soft sound, inside the house. A faint, shifting noise like movement across a floor. I froze, because I heard it too. Not through the speakers, from somewhere in the building around me. I glanced toward the office door instinctively. The hallway outside remained dark and quiet. On screen, Harris tilted his head slightly. "Sir?" he called quietly. No response. Another faint sound, inside the house. Inside my house. Harris stepped up onto the porch. The wood creaked softly under his boots. The camera tilted toward the front door. I watched the familiar scuff marks near the handle, the small crack in the frame I'd noticed months ago. Harris raised his hand, paused. Then he leaned slightly closer to the door, listening again. The silence stretched. Then Harris spoke softly. "You're reviewing this, aren't you?" My stomach dropped. Harris slowly turned his head and looked directly into the camera, like he could see me. For several seconds, he didn't move, just stared. Then he lowered his voice. "You should leave." The feed cut abruptly. The screen froze on a black frame before the system returned to the audit interface. No error message. No file corruption warning. Just the empty playback window and the metadata panel beside it. Timestamp, 2:14 a.m., present time. I sat still, hands resting on the desk, trying to slow the sudden tightness in my chest. The office around me felt quieter than before, the low hum of the building ventilation suddenly more noticeable in the silence. I replayed the final seconds in my head. "You should leave." Harris had looked directly into the camera when he said it, not scanning, not glancing, looking. Like he knew someone was watching, like he knew it was me. I moved the mouse slowly, hovering over the replay button. Before I clicked, a faint sound drifted through the office. Static, soft, crackling. I froze. It took a second to recognize it. Police radio static. Faint, somewhere outside the office. I listened carefully. The sound grew slightly clearer. A quiet voice followed, distorted by distance. "Unit 12? My chest tightened. The voice continued. "I'm on scene." I didn't move. The hallway outside remained dark beyond the glass panel in the office door. The overhead lights in the review room flickered faintly as the building shifted into its overnight power cycle. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, approaching down the hallway, measured, deliberate. The radio static crackled again, closer now. I turned slowly toward the office door. The handle moved just slightly, like someone testing it from the other side. So if you're still listening, and you made it this far, let me ask you something. If you were watching footage, and the officer on screen suddenly looked at you and told you to leave, would you? Or would you keep watching, just to see what happens next? If you enjoy slow burn horror like this, make sure to subscribe to Campfire Horror Stories, because there's always another file, another recording, another incident waiting in the queue. And sometimes, they're already in progress.